Prif Weithredwr ar Cymdeithas Mudiadau Gwirfoddol Ceredigion. A mi fyddwn ni yn recordio'r sesiwn yma. Felly, os bod chi'n ymwybodol o unrhyw un sydd ddim yn medru ymuno â ni prynawn yma, mi fyddwn ni yn rhannu'r recordiad gyda'r sawl sydd yn gyda ni. Os allwch chi hefyd, mi fyddwn ni'n cymryd cwestiynau ar terfyn y sesiwn, dibynnu faint o amser fydd gyda ni i ateb pawb. Ond os allwch chi defnyddio eto ar gwylod y sgrin, mae yna Q&A i gael yna, a fi'n gweld bod yna broblem gyda'r sŵn, os ar gyfer y cyfieithu. Yw pobl ar y panel yn notiso bod yna broblem? For those of you who are having issues with the translation, you've clicked on the... Sorry, Jessica.
Sorry, it's not working for me, and we've got 5 comments in the question and answer box to say that it's not working. You can hear it very faintly, but it's you can't get
intermittent.
The whole, yeah.
Okay, so we'll carry on bilingually. Sorry, Carol a Carwyn. Mae'n amlwg bod y cyfieithu ddim yn mynd I weithio. It's obvious that we're having a few problems with the translation. Felly, ymddeiriadau I chi, and what we'll do is we'll continue bilingually. Nawn ni gario mlaen yn ddwyieithog. Felly, croeso, welcome, and we will be, I've just mentioned, I think, before we had a chat about the translation, that we're recording the session this afternoon so that we can share with anybody that can't join us. And we will have a question and answer session at the end. So if you can use the Q&A option, again, on the bottom of your screen, ni fyddwn ni'n derbyn cwestiynau ar y diwedd. Felly, os allwch chi defnyddio'r option Q&A ar gwylod eich sgrin, bydde hynna'n great. That would be great. So we'll be monitoring those questions, and we'll pick up as much as we can at the end, but we will be sifting through some of those queries after the meeting. Fi yw cadeirydd y panel sydd wedi cael ei dynnu ynghyd o arbenigwyr o dan aden bwrdd gwasanaethau Ceredigion, gwasanaethau cyhoeddus Ceredigion. I chair the panel of experts that have been pulled together from a number of organisations under the work of the Public Services Board in Ceredigion. And we've been established, we've come together to support you in the process of reopening community facilities safely and restarting community activities. Ni ma fel panel I gynnig pob fath o gefnogaeth I chi I ailagor cyfleusterau cymunedol ac I ailgychwyn gwasanaethau o fewn yr adnoddau hynny. Felly, fel o'n i'n gweud, as I was saying earlier, we had the first session a fortnight ago based on buildings. Our focus this afternoon is on activities. We're looking to hold a third session in a fortnight's time, so that's a date in the diary, focused on people. And we wanted to ask you as well, whether you had any subjects that you wanted covered in the future. A os na unrhyw bynciau fyddech chi'n hoffi I ni I ystyried yn y dyfodol. Felly, os allwch chi feddwl am na a rhoi wybod I ni, naill ai trwy'r chat I ni sicrhau bod ni'n cynnig y cefnogaeth gorau I chi. If you can think of any future subjects that you would like covered, then pop them in the Q&A section, and then we'll make sure that we can support you in the best way possible. Hoffwn I ddechrau gyda ymddiheuriadau. I'd like to kick us off with an apology. we did promise at our session a fortnight ago that we would have our support pack, our pack of resources available on the Ceredigion County Council and CAFO website by the end of last week. But there has been a delay in the guidance being produced by Welsh Government and WCVA. Mae yna ychydig o ddilei wedi bod ar y pecyn adnoddau. Ni dal yn aros am y newidiadau i'r cynllawiau Llywodraeth Cymru a WCVA. They are being developed at the moment. They are being worked on and tweaked, and we are on track to get them by the end of this week. But they've been redesigned in a way that link far more closely to the regulations, so that they don't then have to be changed every time the regulations change. I'm just going to say, I think, Richard, we're getting some feedback from you. If you could mute your PC, that would be great. Or I'm not sure. Oh, there we are. We've been able to do it. Thank you, Richard. Mae'r canllawiau yn fwy gysylltiedig nawr gyda'r rheoliadau. Felly, os bod yr rheoliadau'n newid, does dim ysau I ni wedyn I ystyried newid y canllawiau. So as the regulations change, we don't then need to be overly concerned about changing the guidance. So that's a positive step, and they will hopefully be available this week. But we have agreed as a panel that we will share, once we've had some initial feedback, we will share the risk assessment template as soon as possible. I ni fel panel yn hapus I rannu'r template asesiad risg cynta sy'n bosib, gan bod ni'n gwybod bod gymaint o chi yn awyddus iawn I fynd mlaen gyda'r gwaith pwysig na. We know that many of you are very, very keen to get on with that important work of risk assessing your buildings and your activities. So we'll make that available before the rest of the pack is ready. So ymddeiriadau I cychwyn, apologies to start with. Ond hoffen I ddweud, a fi'n credu bod rhywun o tîm CAFO yn mynd I rhannu'r link ar yr column chat. Somebody from the CAFO team will share the link in the chat column. Although the guidance is being updated, it is critical that we keep an eye on the regulations, and Regulation 12 and 14 are the really, really important ones for us to consider. However, what we need to consider when it comes to safety and covers physical distancing and good hygiene, and 14 covers what can be done. What's a permitted activity at the moment. Mae Kelly o tîm CAFO hefyd wedi rhoi cwestiwn I fyny I chi I ystyried. There's a question that should have just popped up on your screens because we just wanted to make a little assessment of how many of you are confident in restarting your community activities at the moment. So if you can take a moment to consider in that question, that would be fantastic. And Kelly, should we leave that up for a few moments for people to complete?
Yeah, that's fine.
O rhan rheoliadau a'r canllawiau, in terms of the regulations and the guidance, there is one important bit of information that I wanted to remind you of or share with you. At the statement, the First Minister's briefing last Friday, he did mention that in this next 3-week cycle, we need to be planning and preparing to restart small gatherings of people indoors. because as part of that route map, they are hoping to be able, if everything's still moving in the right direction, to encourage to restart some smaller activities indoors. And I think, if I remember rightly, he mentioned 3 examples: slimming classes, book clubs, and training. And obviously it's not an exclusive list, but I think he just wanted to share a few examples. Felly, dydd Gwener diwetha, mi nath y Prif Weinidog, mi nath sesiwn briffo Llywodraeth Cymru. Mi nathon nhw sôn bod mi fydd na adolygiad o ail ddechrau cynnal mwy o weithgareddau o dan do yn ddiogel yn cael ei wneud yn ystod y 2 wythnos nesaf. Felly mae fe'n hynod o bwysig bod ni'n defnyddio'r amser yma i baratoi. Therefore, it's critical that we use this time to prepare, which is what these series of sessions are all about. Ond fel i ni'n gwybod, as we know, the risk of transferring the virus is increased when we meet others outside of our homes in other settings. So it really is each and every one of us is a social responsibility to make sure that we limit the chances of that happening as much as possible. I think there's a question there from Catherine Miles. Pranda, Catherine. I think he mentioned slimming, but I'll double check that. I think he did mention slimming classes, but we'll check that one, Catherine. Thank you very much. And it's still, when we are looking and when we are planning, it is still vital. The guidance and the regulations still very, very clear that we need to maintain the physical distancing. We need to maintain good hygiene. And it's really, really important that there's information, that we share relevant information as well. Pellter corfforol, glendid da am a rhannu gwybodaeth, dal yn hanfodol ac yn elfennau hanfodol o'r canllawiau a'r rheoliadau. Felly, na i nawr trosglwyddo i Donna Hughes, rheolwr iechyd a diogelwch Cyngor Sir Ceredigion. I'll now hand over to Donna Hughes, Ceredigion County Council's Health and Safety Manager, who will tell us a little more, share a little more information with us about risk assessments and activities.
Prynawn da pawb, good afternoon all. Thank you, Hazel, for inviting me to speak to you today about what needs to be considered by those groups or individuals wishing to restart their activities in the venue. Now that the building should be COVID secure after our last webinar and assistance by the risk assessments, it's time to start thinking of ways to reopen up the spaces so that activities stopped during lockdown can now start again in a safe way. As managers of the venue, have had to draw up a risk assessment to support the building reopening safely. Those groups or individuals wanting to restart their activity in the building will also need to draw up their own risk assessment to satisfy the premises manager, the council, and the people wishing to take part in this activity that any risks of infection that may be inherent have been reduced. The document they share will also help you decide whether it's safe enough to agree whether the activity should restart or not. So first things first, make sure you have shared your building risk assessment with the group or individual and confirm that they have understood and that they agree with the measures you have or will be putting in place to protect people. The groups or individuals reinstating the activities need to consider their joining instructions, whether it's sent by email, Snapchat, text, letter, pigeon post, whatever's best. Think about the changes to the activity in response to distancing requirements. How will people attend this activity? Reminding people not to car share with people outside their household bubble. They might have to use masks on public transport And we have to think about the subsequent strain on public transport because some of these activities are very well attended. Hand and respiratory hygiene. You may want them to wear face coverings in the activity in the building. What are the welfare arrangements? Will they need to bring water, their own flasks of drink, etc., and think about the toilets? Other expectations, such as not attending if they or anyone in their household has the symptoms, and to leave immediately if they become unwell during the activity. There's also the expectation that they will need to sign in and provide some contact details in response to contact tracing requirements, etc. So secondly, we think of the activities that could pose a higher COVID risk than others. These may include exercise classes, there's a heavy breathing, lots of movement, dancing, live music. They've identified that if woodwind and trumpets, etc., because of the extra blowing, increases the risk as well. And you'll have to think about even more social distancing than the 2-metre guidelines. So where music or talks are being held, the room should be set out in a seated arrangement where possible. So it's easier to ensure social distancing, reduce the risk of people being close indoor contact with other people outside of their household, and reduce the risk of the sort of milling about. With regard to refreshments, we recommend that the shared kitchen facilities are not used. The activities group will need to bring their own drinks, etc., and hopefully take the empty bottles, etc., home with them as well. For activities that take a longer amount of time, we would expect to see toileting information. I mean, the building itself should have signs anyway, perhaps saying 1 in, 1 out, hand washing facilities, etc. The person who's holding the activity may want to bring their own hand sanitizer themselves, but there should be hand sanitizer available at the venue if access to hand washing for many people gets a bit difficult. So when you look at access and exit into the building, some of these groups, there may be quite a lot of people dropping in. So it's thinking about staggering times, changing the way the service is given in the future compared to what it was before COVID. And have a think about how likely it is that people attending these activities may congregate afterwards. It's quite a social occasion. Slimming World, if they've gone to music activities or anything like that, and they might not have seen each other for a long time. So it is likely that people are going to want to catch up and chat to each other. So the activity organiser should remind those participating that things aren't back to normal and that everyone needs to be responsible for their own health as well as the health risks to others, and advise against congregating in groups afterwards. So I've only shared a few examples, but you will see a similar pattern of infection prevention control measures that must be followed if we are to protect each other from COVID-19. So the first main one is your hygiene. So it's thinking about enhanced cleaning, hand washing, so your respiratory hygiene, so it's you catch it, bin it, kill it. Social distancing, which still remains at 2 meters, but we might have to think about additional social distancing for activities that will be perspiring and breathing heavily, etc. And also respect for other people's space, their general needs, emotional anxieties, because people are still very anxious about going out and about and meeting in groups, etc. And sharing information and supports with each other. As with the building risk assessment template and checklist we've put together, we're also developing a guide template for you to refer to when you receive the group's risk assessment, or you could share the template with them to follow if they need it. Larger organisations may have their own risk assessments in place to cover the reinstatement of an activity, which is also fine, as long as it covers what's required and is specific enough to meet the requirements you expect of them whilst using the building during the current COVID pandemic. So that's it from me from now. Thank you for listening.
Diolch, Donna, thank you. And really, really important, isn't it, Donna, to repeat the fact that, the last session we focused on buildings, getting the space ready. And now we're in a space where we can consider planning and preparing for more activities. But it's really, really important that the risk assessment for the building and the activity are 2 separate pieces of work. And if you are hiring a building to run an activity, then it's really, really important that you actually check that the building has done everything that they need to do to keep people safe. Because there are some things that will be the responsibility of the building owners. Mae'n bwysig os bod chi'n heiro'r adeilad I gynnal gweithgaredd, bod chi'n sicrhau bod yr asesiad risg wedi cael ei wneud ar yr adeilad na cyn bod chi'n cychwyn ar eich gweithgareddau. Ac o'r rhan gweithgareddau hefyd, if there is anybody on the call at the meeting that actually hires out their venues to others and that you haven't got a hire agreement or you need to update your hire agreement, then WCVA are working with Dolman's solicitors to again produce a template that you can use. So we're hoping that that will be available very, very soon if that is something that you'll be interested in. Mae WCVA yn gweithio ar template I chi ddefnyddio os bod chi'n llogi eich adeilad I eraill, os bod eisiau adnewyddu y dogfennau sydd â chi neu os bod dim un gyda chi mewn lle. A ni'n gobeithio bydd hwnna ar gael cyn gyntaf ag sy'n bosib. Fi'n gwybod bod WCVA yn gweithio ar hwnna ar hyn o bryd. Richard, I'm not sure whether you're able to speak to us because I know that you've come through on the telephone line. But I just wonder whether you want to say a little about the Dyfed Powys Police exercise at the moment.
Can you hear me?
Brilliant, yes.
Absolutely marvellous after our problems last time. Very briefly for people, we are running a, excuse me. Right, we'll try, it seems to be working on both, so you may get some feedback. Police have developed a database for internal use, called ARDAL, and it, at one level it operates as a key holders register, which has obviously been almost used to all local organisations, be they businesses, community halls, whatever. So if we do find ourselves answering alarms or finding a property with problems out of hours, for example, that we know who to contact and can do so rapidly. In terms of the community halls, it has additional benefits as well in terms of dealing with emergencies in the community, and there's a deal of crossover with the work that CAVO have done in that regard, for example, and the County Council. So many of you will find yourselves being contacted by your local police community support officers, normally something we do in person, and at the moment something we're doing largely by email and by post for obvious reasons during the COVID-19 crisis. Can I make a plea to those of you here who have received something of that sort to reply, because it's extremely useful for us in the current situation. We're doing similarly with some of the food banks, for example, and lots of the people who represent resilience in our community and enable us to do things in a crisis which we need to be able to do quickly and have the information to do so. So if you are able to respond, I'd be very grateful.
Thank you, Richard. Diolch.
Thank you, Hazel.
Felly peidwch ag anwybyddu'r llythyr na. Please don't ignore that letter. If you've had it, then please complete it and return it back to the Dyfed Powys Police team. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Before we move on to Kate, who wants to tell us a little bit about virtual village halls, I'd like to, maybe it's quite timely, just to draw your attention, draw all of our attention to the regulations as they are at the moment, and what is permitted activity within the regulations. As far as indoor gatherings are concerned, it is still the case that nobody's permitted to gather indoors with another individual unless they're a member of the household, their carer, or a person who's providing care, or within that 4 household bubble that you might have agreed to. Well, the situations beyond that are relevant to us this afternoon is any work for or the provision of a voluntary or charitable service, or exercise with others in a gathering of no more than 30 people. So what we can do at the moment is still fairly limited, is still fairly restricted. But as I did say at the start, the First Minister did mention on Friday that we should be using this time to prepare and plan for smaller gatherings indoors in this next 3-week cycle. So I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, if everything stays the same, we're on course to introduce a few more activities. O rhan y rheoliadau, mae'r rheoliadau hunain dal yn cyfyngu ni I gweithgareddau elusennol a ffitrwydd, dosbarthiadau ffitrwydd o ddim fwy na 30 o bobl. Felly mae'r fath o weithgareddau allwn ni gynnal o dan dod dal yn rhwystredig ofnadw. Ond ni yn ymwybodol bod nifer o cymunedau wedi defnyddio ffurf digidol I gadw mewn cysylltiad. Ac efallai fydd bobl yn dewis I barhau gyda'r fath na o ffordd o aros mewn cysylltiad am amser, am cryn dipyn o amser I ddod. Kate, we are aware, aren't we, that a number of communities have chosen to keep in touch digitally, virtually, and hold different activities digitally as well. And bearing in mind that we are still a little restricted in what we can do, and we are heading into autumn, winter season, some of us might still choose to continue to support activities digitally. So Kate from the cover team is going to tell us a little more about the virtual village hall, Neuaddau Pentre Rhithio. Thank you, Kate.
Hi, so during the whole of lockdown, RVS have been running a project called Virtual Village Hall, which is video sessions that they're hosting on Facebook or through their YouTube channel to replicate what people were visiting their village halls to do. So they've been running exercise classes, arts and crafts, they've done cooking and baking, there have been sessions about using technology, and they've been doing some quizzes. Some of them have been live, so you take part with a tutor whilst they're doing something, and you can ask questions and get feedback. And they've done like a PDF you can download with guidance telling you what materials and things you've needed. Some of them have been pre-recorded, and those are all still up on their Facebook page. They've got nearly 1,500 people on their Facebook page that are watching these videos and doing things. Obviously that's a national scheme, so it's huge, it's been funded, but there have been pockets of places within Ceredigion doing similar things. So Cafe Cletor have been hosting open mic nights that have been quite well attended. They've also done some beekeeping talks, and they've done some owl pellet dissection talks as well. So you've been able to pop into the cafe and pick up a kit and some instructions of what you need, and then you can join the video link later on. They've been doing it through Zoom. So there are a number of different ways that it can be done. But for people that perhaps have been shielding, who aren't ready to go back to groups, it's been a really good way for people to keep connected, keep busy, feeling less bored and feeling a little bit less socially isolated. So I think it would be really interesting to be able to look into that and see if it would be something we could replicate, if there were some halls that would be willing to give that a trial or have a go. We talked about maybe, unfortunately, Karen from Cleto couldn't come today, but she's, once the cafe is quietened down a bit, she'd be more than happy to be part of a session to answer some questions and talk about how they've done that successfully at Cleto.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Kate. Thank you very much, Kate. Ni hefyd yn ymwybodol bod prosiect golwg Bro 360 wedi bod yn gwneud gwaith diddorol gyda wahanol cymunedau ar draws Cymru. A hefyd, mae'r clybiau ffermwyr ifanc hefyd yn mynd i fod yn defnyddio Zoom i parhau gyda rhai gweithgareddau. Kate, I know that Golwg have their Bro 360 project, don't they? That's been doing some interesting work, and YSC in Farmers Clubs have all now got Zoom licenses in Ceredigion, so they will be holding some activities virtually. So what we'd like to offer, if any of you, in terms of community facilities or some of you who are running activities, might be interested in doing more online, because what might happen in the future is we might need to look at more blended models where we might have a few people in a hall or in a meeting space, but others might feel more comfortable joining us digitally. So we might need to look at both options in the future, especially if your space is limited and you need to limit the number of people who might be with you in person. So we are more than happy to offer a follow-up session focused solely on the digital tools, the virtual tools that are available to support you, and get a few people in to have a chat about how they've used it themselves. I ni'n fwy na hapus I trefnu sesiwn yn arbennig I ystyried unrhyw rhaglenni digidol allwn ni fod yn defnyddio i'ch cynorthwyo chi I gynnal gweithgareddau ar-lein yn digidol. A tynnu ychydig o bobl mewn I weid, I rannu I profiadau gyda ni hefyd i'r sawl sydd wedi defnyddio y technoleg yn barod. Felly os bod unrhyw un diddordeb mewn dysgu fod yn rhagor wedyn rhowch wybod I ni. If any of you would be interested in that session, then let us know and we'll happily organise something. Byddwn ni'n fwy na hapus I drefnu rhywbeth. Right, cwestiynau, questions. Have we had a few coming in, Teleri?
So, dyn ni gael cwbl o gwestiynau. We've had quite a few questions. Dwi'n mynd I cwpasu rhai cwestiynau mewn I un neu ddoi cwestiwn fawr I chi, so ni'n haws. I'm going to squeeze questions together, hopefully. Ni fel cwestiwn un pam fydd gweithgareddau yn cynnig cynnal yn y neuadd, a oes angen rhywun sy'n glwm ar neuadd yn fod yn presennol. When an activity does take place in a village hall, does somebody from the hall committee or somebody involved in the hall need to be present at all times?
Donna, I don't know whether you want to try and tackle that one, because that's a very interesting question, isn't it?
It is an interesting question, but I'm thinking about you could potentially have quite a lot of activities being undertaken. Yeah. And I think for reassurance purposes, for yourself as a premises manager, it might be worth you being there for the first setup, perhaps, just to make sure that they're happy with your risk assessment, that they're putting everything in place that they have said they would. And I think that would prove, you know, there'd be some proof of you being I think that's a reasonable thing to do. So nobody's superhuman. But I do think that for reassurance purposes, perhaps being there whilst they're setting up, you know, the first activity, and then perhaps afterwards, whether you phone them, whether you email them, perhaps just have feedback on how it went. And if they were happy with the premises and if they had any questions to raise with you. I think, you know, yourself as a premises manager and the person undertaking the activity probably get a lot of positive feelings from that anyway, and reassurance.
And maybe even, Donna, you know, a spot check occasionally. because it's a big commitment, isn't it, for somebody to be there all the time. But I really like your suggestion, Donna, that maybe for that first session, especially while people are setting up, it might be good to start that relationship and people know who to contact if they do have any queries. But that's where our responsibility to share information is so important, whether it's our building or whether we're the ones arranging the activity. It's really, really important that we use the opportunity that we have to communicate with people who will be attending the building or the activity and remind them about the physical distancing, about the good hygiene, and about some of the practices that Donna mentioned earlier about, you know, we need to limit the chatting in the car park. We need to think about how people get to the activities, because we still shouldn't be car sharing outside of our 4 household bubbles. And yeah, reminding people about the practicalities. It's a really good opportunity for us to make sure that people remember that the virus is still here, and it is still a risk, and we do still need to do as much as we can to protect our communities. Mae'n holl bwysig bod ni'n neud gymaint ag allwn ni I amddiffyn yn cymunedau, a i atgoffa bobl bod dal isse I ni I ystyried gwledydd da a pellter corfforol hefyd, ynddo fe. Mae'n gyfle I ni gael y gwybodaeth na allan a atgoffa pobl eto.
I think also, when you write a risk assessment and it seems doable on paper, once you get into practice, there might be extra control measures that you need to put in place if something doesn't work out. So I think it's valuable if you can communicate between the premises manager and the activity organiser. And really sure, it's new for everybody. I know it seems to have been going on forever, but it's still new and we're still thinking on our toes, and guidance is changing constantly as well. So yeah, I think definitely the sort of first time that activity starts, for reassurance, it'd be nice for the premises manager to be there, answer any questions and make sure that they're doing what they're saying they do on the risk assessment.
Yeah, because the risk assessment has to be a document that we all follow, that we use, that we don't just fill it in and then it's sat on some shelf. You know, it does need to be an active living document, doesn't it? And that visit to some of the activities could be a nice little test to make sure that everything has been considered and everything has been covered. Yeah, that could be useful, interesting. Tulare?
So, did a couple questions in a gweithgaredde hefyd, a couple questions on activities. So people asking if the activity is being displaced to another location, for example, the local pub or the church service is being held, why can't they hold activities in the hall itself? For example, a hall committee meeting to discuss the risk assessment. And our halls allow them to do yoga classes or bowls classes in the hall. So it's a bit more of what can they do in the hall at the moment.
Again, we're looking at things can go ahead within reason. They've got to be able to maintain the social distancing. So that's what's key through all of this, is being able to maintain at least the 2 metre social distancing. If the weather's nice, even doing it outside. I mean, what we don't want and what we know that we're seeing is some of these groups are going to the pubs. And at the end of the day, they're putting themselves at risk as well, because there's crowds there and there's people under the influence of alcohol who won't be maintaining social distancing. So really, we need to be happy that we're putting the right procedures and control measures in place in the venues to support having these services and activities coming back into the community instead of in a pub. It's not everybody wants to go to the pub to take part in activities as well.
And it does, you know, it's a very, very fair point that other places have been allowed to reopen, and I think that's why there has been quite a significant change in the regulations over the last few weeks, but still not a big enough shift for us to be able to restart everything. But it's interesting you mention yoga and bowls, because they have said that up to 30 people can restart fitness classes in spaces that are appropriate and big enough. Of course, again, you have to work out your numbers based on the physical distancing and the and the size of your venue, your location. But I'm not sure, I've not heard anything about indoor bowls actually. We'll look into that. I assume then that yoga would come under the physical activities, and so should bowls, but then you're touching, because you need to limit touching different surfaces as much as possible. And if you're sharing bowls and equipment, then that could actually be quite tricky.
Yeah, can I just come in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue is really about limits on what people are allowed to do in terms of contact with others, and I think the issue is in Regulation 14. It comes under reasonable excuse. There are these provisions which allow certain things to happen, and essentially exclude other things unless you're members of the same household, or with a carer or the person being cared for. So as it stands, I mean, the bit relevant to yoga and bowls to a degree is subsection P, which is exercise with others in a gathering of no more than 30 people, as at a fitness studio, gym, swimming pool, or other indoor leisure centre or facility, which is, I think, what this would come under, or for any other open premises, which is obviously what the community halls and these types of facilities would be. So that would cover, I think, bowls, which is a sort of form of exercise, a more gentle form of exercise, perhaps for slightly less enthusiastic people than some of the mountain bikers and marathon runners that I know, but nevertheless is valuable for people to exercise to a degree. We have had questions over snooker as well, and whether that would be regarded as a sport, and our view in the council will be at the moment that we would not really be able to count snooker or pool as being sport in the sense of providing exercise, because it is that word exercise that's in the regulations. So albeit that darts players and snooker players might say it is a sport, it doesn't form enough of an exercise, we feel, to justify complying with that.
We lost Yvionne's connection. Oh, sorry, we lost you for a moment, Yvion.
But again, that then coming under that, obviously, that there's a form of exercise and therefore allowable.
And it's important to remind everybody as well, pwysig i'r atgoffa pawb hefyd, if you are looking at yoga and bowls in the same space, then you would have to make a separate risk assessment, yoga and bowls, because obviously different sports, different things to think about in terms of the delivery of those two.
Yeah, a number of questions about the whole committee itself and holding meetings, for example, community council.
Community council, very, very interesting in terms of town and community councils. Cwestiwn da ynglyn â cynghorau tre a cymunedau. I ni wedi bod yn rhan o trafodaethau gyda Llywodraeth Cymru ynglyn â'r canllawiau diweddara, a mae rhywun o tîm One Voice Wales wedi bod yn rhan o'r cyfarfodydd gyda ni. We've been part of a small group that's come together to look at the Welsh Government guidance, and Lynn Cadwallader from One Voice Wales has also been part of those sessions. We are trying to make sure that the guidance covers the considerations of town and community councils and town and community council meetings as well, because some across Wales own buildings, but obviously the meetings are a factor. And I noticed, fi'n gweld bod na ambell i gwestiwn hefyd am bod ti pwyllgorau neuaf. A few questions there as well about village hall committees, because obviously you need to get together to discuss some of this and to prepare for some of this. And we completely appreciate that it makes sense for a couple of you to be looking at this risk assessment process. Mae'n neud synwyr bod nifer o bennau yn dod at ei gilydd i ystyried yr asesiad risg. But I would ask you to consider how many people need to be involved in that process. Does it really need to be the full whole committee, or can a couple of people be delegated to look at drafting the risk assessment, and then you share your findings and you share the final document with the rest of the committee, either online or by phone? Again, just to risk the just to lessen the number of people that are coming together, even if you can socially distance. And the important thing to consider as well is that we don't really want to prolong meetings more than is necessary. And having attended a few town and community council meetings in the past, they can be quite lengthy. I remember attending one community council where I think at the end of 3 hours we'd just finished matters arising. So, so we need to be thinking about agendas and the length of meetings as well when we come together. Maybe they need to be stand-up half-hour sessions rather than the marathons that we're used to. It's an opportunity, isn't it, to rethink the way we do things. Mae fe'n gyfle da yn diwedd I ail-edrych ar y ffordd I ni yn wneud, yn gweithredu, yn cynnal yn cyfarfodydd. A felly bod ysau ni ystyried agenda llai a cyfarfodydd byrach sydd yn canolbwyntio ar ychydig o materion yn unig. We need to make sure that we are not prolonging those meetings that we have together.
We have a couple of questions of specific activities, so we'll email those individuals and contact you directly. So moving the questions along, we have a couple of questions about cleaning and who's responsible. Is it to clean between the sessions? Is it the group activity leaders, or is it the hall themselves?
My understanding, but on India, my understanding was, that the agreement should really cover that. You just need to make it clear in the hiring agreement who is responsible for the hygiene side of things. Is that right, Donna?
I think you need to look at what potentially the people in the activities are going to be touching, perhaps.
Yeah.
So if they're going to be confined to one room, they might just be using plastic chairs in a meeting or something like that, or they might be putting their bottles on the windowsill if they're taking part in exercise. So it could be that the organizer of the activities has a pack of disinfectant wipes and has got a bin in situ in the building that they, with a lid on it, that they can throw these wipes away at the end of the session, because you're not looking at sort of deep cleans throughout the day. It's a wipe down with vericidal disinfectant wipes over the light switch on the windowsill perhaps, or the handles of the chairs, etc. Which is another reason why we're asking people to avoid using the kitchens. Because you're looking at, it's hard work. Many people help themselves to tea and coffee and open the fridge and use the taps, etc.
And as well, Donna, I guess it would depend on the venue, fydd fe'n dibynnu ar y lleoliad. Because, if you've got a team of people that are regularly there, or you've got lots of volunteers, or even paid staff looking after the meeting space, then you are in a better position, aren't you, just to maybe give it a quick clean in between sessions. If you're a very, very small committee, and maybe the committee don't live near the village hall, or you have other commitments during the day, then that's why it might be really important for you to then make sure that responsibility, it was clearly the responsibility of the person who's hiring the hall to make sure that happens in between, or you limit the number of activities you have in a day or in a week to allow you the time to make sure that there's a clean down in between activities.
And this would need to be documented in the risk assessment as well, and shared and agreed by everybody involved.
And it's really interesting. Kevin Goodwin asks what we let me just scroll up to your question, Kevin. What does it mean from your point of view to deep clean a hall? Just wonder whether any of our panelists have any views on that.
Deep clean is separate. It's a different thing to an enhanced cleaning regime. An enhanced cleaning regime is actually you're wiping down in between, and instead of doing a clean of all your light switches once a month, what have you, you're doing it at least once a day. Your deep clean would be carried out if somebody within the activity or work in there had actually started to show symptoms, or had received a positive test result. Sorry, and then you'd consider carrying out a deep clean, which is all the surfaces, leaving perhaps 3 days, so you're 72 hours before anybody else is allowed to go in there, so that it reassures us that everything is clean and virus free. So the deep clean, don't get mixed up with deep cleans, because it's a lot of work. You carry it out if there's the real threat of infection. The enhanced cleaning, your extra cleaning, is for reassurance purposes in between.
Donna and Evian, are we suggesting that we do a deep clean before we reopen, or is it an enhanced clean?
I think a wipe down of all the surfaces, a clean of everything, is what's required. Whether you'd class it as a deep clean as such, I'm not sure you would. What do you think, Evian?
No, I don't think you would count it as a deep clean, to be honest. The implications of a deep clean is something that you would look at in the non-COVID setting, would be something where you'd be looking at a premises which was something like a filthy or verminous premises, or something which is of that sort of quite an extreme nature, really. Now, with these premises which have been closed, yes, it may need enhanced cleaning. If no one's been there for a while, it may be a little bit dusty. For example, then when you're reopening, people go in there, when that is what's boosting the risk, is people sort of going in there subsequently. So yeah, enhanced cleaning possibly is a better term to use in this sort of setting of reopening these centres, I would say, at the moment. The deep clean, as Donna said, would be, someone's tested positive, the track and trace people have been in touch and have said, right, we've got someone linked to your premises, and that's when you'd have to think about that side of things, and there would be guidance at that stage if that was necessary.
Diolch, Evian. Thank you, Evian. Teleri, fi se cadw ail cwestiwn Kevin tan yn ola. I want to keep Kevin's final question about any responsibilities in terms of people contracting COVID until our final question. Any more we need to consider?
A question for Kate regarding virtual halls. Would it be possible, Kate, for the group leader to be in the hall and to lead the Zoom session and everyone watch it from their homes?
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me, because obviously the social distancing, because they're on their own, as long as they did the wipe down when they'd finished. Yeah, why not?
Excellent, great, diolch. Unrhyw beth arall, Teleri?
Well, again, a couple of questions o'n i acted nôl I pob unigolion yn direct. Well, a couple of questions we'll reply back directly. There are a few questions about the risk assessments and the pack and how they get these forms. And I think you can go to explain that when you go on to the next steps. And then there's Kevin's question. So they're all linked to your next steps.
Yeah, so cwestiwn ola, final question, eto o Kevin Goodwin. If someone is renting our hall, then claim that they've contracted COVID within the hall, who would be responsible?
I think really this is where the contact tracing team would come into place, really, and find out who had been using the the hall when they'd been using it, and they'd look at the risk assessment as well to make sure that cleaning, etc., had been considered throughout. So it's really determining whether they caught it from being in the hall as well. But if you've covered everything that's in your risk assessments with your correct cleaning fluids, your correct cleaning regime, having windows and doors open when exercise classes, etc., being carried out, and you know who's coming and going, you shouldn't really catch COVID from attending a hall as long as all the control measures, infection prevention control measures have been covered.
And a dyma lle mae fe'n holl bwysig bod ni'n cymryd yr amser I baratoi a hefyd I rhannu gwybodaeth. And this is where it is so vital that we take this time to prepare and also share relevant information. Because as Donna was saying, if we've done our risk assessments for both the hall and the activities themselves, and we follow what we've identified in those risk assessments, then we will know that we've done everything that we possibly can to keep people safe. But in terms of the messages that we need to be sending to the people hiring our buildings, and as well to the people who might be attending our activities, we need to make sure that we remind them that if they've got a high temperature, if they've got a cough, if they've got any of the symptoms, then they need to stay at home. Or if you notice that anybody coming to that session has any symptoms, then you will need to think of really nice, polite ways to ask people to leave. You don't need bouncers, but maybe to think that through. Because you know, the chances are limited, but we can't safeguard it from actually happening. But if we've done everything that's practically possible, and we've done a risk assessment, and we've made sure that people are following that risk assessment, then we can do very little else. But it is worth reminding people that if they're symptomatic, they need to be staying at home. And it's a good opportunity again, isn't it, to get that information out there. Cyfle arall yn dywe I sicrhau bod bobl yn deall os bod symptomau dan nhw, mae'n bwysig bod nhw'n aros adre a bod nhw'n ddim yn dod I gyfarfod neu I gweithgaredd yn y neuadd. A mae cwestiwn Kevin yn symud ni mlaen yn eitha neis i'r camen nesa. Kevin's question moves us on very nicely to our next session. Dyddiadur, date for the diary. We are hoping to hold our next session again in a fortnight's time. On the 9th of September, ar y 9fed o Medi am 3 at 3 o'clock. Because if we are looking at a 3-week cycle from the First Minister's announcement last Friday, then you know, we need to fit the next session into quite a tight window. And the next session will be focusing on people, and we are hoping that a couple of representatives from our Test, Trace and Protect team will be able to join us to tell you a little bit more about that system and what you need to do, either as community facility managers or activity, those organising activities, what you need to do to keep the details of anybody who might be entering your buildings or taking part in your activities. Yn y sesiwn nesaf, ar y 9fed o Fedi, I ni'n mynd I fod yn canolbwyntio ar pobl, a mi fydd cynrychiolwyr gyda ni o tîm profi olren a diogelu Ceredigion yn rhannu fwy o wybodaeth a manylion gyda ni ar y proses a beth sy'n ni I gadw fel rheolwyr lleoliadau neu'r rhai sy'n rhedeg gweithgareddau, pa fath o manylion sy'n ni gadw am ba hyd. WCVA have also worked on a GDPR statement that can be used on any forms that we might be using to keep people's information and to keep people's details. You know, it's essential. We have to do it for the purposes of test, trace and protect, but you don't have to worry about the GDPR statement. That's all been done and can be adapted for you. And that will be part of the WCVA guidance. Bydd geiriad na yn rhan o canllawiau WCVA ar y fath o eiriau dylen ni fod yn rhoi ar y ffurflen fydd yn cadw manylion pobl. And one of the things that you need to think about as well in terms of activities is whether people pre-book. So you're avoiding people having to you know, write down their details on site. And, you know, if you take money for activities, whether some of that can be done online, so you're not having to do cash transactions in the hall or in the building itself. So those kind of things need to be considered. Nawr, eto, fel o'n i'n gweud, fyddwn ni'n hapus i gynnal pedwerydd sesiwn jyst i cael trafodaeth tyma bach yn fwy agored ag i diweddaru pawb ar y sefyllfa. We are prepared to also arrange a fourth session in this series, just as a bit of a catch-all, really, to tie up any loose ends and to keep updating you on progress. And we might make that fourth session a bit more interactive, so you can share your own experiences, good practice, and some of the challenges that you've faced in this journey of preparing to reopen and restart activities. Felly, os bod na unrhyw bynciau penodol I chi ise I ni ystyried, if there are any particular subjects that you want us to consider for future sessions, then let us know. But as I say, we will hold that fourth session in the series, just to tie up any loose ends. Just as a little reminder as well, just I atgoffa chi hefyd, fel rhan o'r pecyn adnoddau, mi fydd na rhestr o grantiau sydd ar gael i'ch cefnogi chi a cefnogi unrhyw gweithgareddau a newidiadau sy'n angen I chi wneud. In the resource pack, there will be a list of grants available to support you in any changes that you need to make or in any activities that you might want to put on. So there is funding available. I know we touched upon that in our first session, so it's good to repeat that this afternoon for those of you who couldn't join us. Panel, a oes na unrhyw beth arall sydd angen I ni sôn amdano? Is there anything else that we need to cover as a panel?
No, not that I can think of.
Oedd un cwestiwn am byti Slimming World. Mae rhyw gwestiwn wedi codi ynglyn â hynny. I think the question was in English, so I'll answer in English. Slimming World, there was a question about them stating that they're starting shortly, which is something which has been raised separately, I think, last week. We believe that it may be that the organisation, which is based in England, may have sent advice out to all their representatives, whether it's across the UK or England and Wales, based on the English regulations, which of course may be different, well, or are different to the Welsh regulations. So a strong word of caution there, really. As far as we can make out, slimming clubs wouldn't fall in the category of reasonable excuse to be allowed to operate within the halls, unless they're combining it with an exercise class, of course. So again, a technicality, and I'm not here to defend the regulations, how they've been written, but it doesn't look to us that that does fit within that category, and therefore they shouldn't be holding meetings with a number of people attending there, unless they arrange it in such a way that they only have one household at a time within the hall. So time slots, for example, and come in on a allocated time of 5 minutes each or whatever. So they may be certain ways around it, but again, that would come down to necessarily.
Diolch, Eifion. Sorry, we lost you for a moment there again, but just to follow on from that, Welsh Government up until now haven't been keen on reintroducing services like Slimming World at community venues. But we are meeting every Tuesday afternoon as a panel. And we are communicating, sending correspondence to each other in between meetings as well. And it was one of the issues that we discussed yesterday afternoon, because if some of those activities are moving into other spaces, such as the local pub, then that is a greater risk than actually holding that activity in a building that has been risk assessed, and where that might be the only activity that happens in the building. So, so in terms of safety on a Ceredigion level, we were saying yesterday, weren't we, as a panel, actually, it is probably safer for that Slimming World exercise, as Eifion was saying, you know, if people are going in one at a time and it's all organised and booked in that way, for that to happen in our risk assessed and ready community venues, rather than in a pub where that space and that level of assessment may not have been undertaken in quite the same way. It's all about limiting the risk. So the panel are meeting, and the panel are here to support you. So any queries, please contact jen@cafo.org.uk or phone the CAFO number. Cheska or Teleri, if we can jot that down in the chat column for everybody, then that would be great. And then we'll consider that as a panel, either by email if it's urgent, or at our Tuesday meetings. And as far as the risk assessment is concerned, we have a few people testing it out at the moment. So if you're absolutely desperate, then we are more than happy to make sure that we've got that link, because everything's been translated, that we've got that link on the Ceredigion County Council site. Mae'r panel yn cwrdd yn wythnosol, a ni hefyd yn cysylltu â'n gilydd dros e-bost rhwng cyfarfodydd. Felly, os bod na unrhyw ymweliadau gyda chi wedyn, rhowch wybod i ni ma i'ch cefnogi chi, achos dyw e ddim yn broses rhwydd a syml o gwbl, nag yw e. Mae yna gwbl o bobl dyn ni yn treialu'r template asesu risg ar hyn o bryd. Felly ni'n aros am tyma bach o feedback ar hwnnw, jyst rhag ofan brysau ni newid unrhyw beth. Ond mae'r cyfan wedi cael ei gyfieithu, a ni'n hapus i rannu link ar gwefan y Cyngor Sir cyn i gweddill y pecyn gan i dynnu at ei gilydd. Gobeithio fydd y cyfan gyda ni erbyn diwedd wythnos hyn. Hopefully we'll have the whole full pack available by the end of this week. Felly, os na bod na unrhyw beth ychwanegol, if there isn't anything additional for us to pick up on, I'd just like to thank everybody for their time this afternoon, and as well for your patience, because it's not an easy process. And we thought we would ask the question again that we posed at the beginning of the session, just to judge whether we've answered any queries or any concerns that you may have had during the session. Felly mae'r cwestiwn nôl lan, felly os hoffech chi ateb hwnna fydde hynna'n grêt. Question is back up, so if you'd like to take a moment to answer that, that would be fantastic. So thank you for your time this afternoon. Diolch i chi am eich amser pnawn yma a'ch amynedd. A os bod na unrhyw ymweliadau gyda chi, wedyn cysylltwch â CAFO a llwn i rhannu hwnnw gyda'r panel. Any queries, please contact CAFO and we will share that with the panel, and we're here to support you on the journey. Felly, os bod chi wedi cael y cyfle i lenwi'r cwestiwn, hoffwn ni weid farwel. So if you've had a chance to fill that question, then we'll say goodbye and take care.